Welcome back, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation just now between Timo and Eva Janssen in the Wahl. I like the hand-in-hand approach of this partnership very, very much. And I hope that you've kept enough energy until this point, and you continue to keep up that energy, because I just heard that after today's program, around 5 p.m., we will have an exclusive DJ set, or 2 or 3. With the Cupra Music Lab. So I'll introduce the DJs later, but stay pumped and stay with us. Now, changing gears for a bit, I want to read you a quote by Tony Hsieh, who founded Zappos. I know a tragic story earlier this year. He died, but his wisdom about how to run a business based on happiness stays with us, of course. And he said something that I found quite fitting, actually, to what we're experiencing right now with in the past years with sustainable fashion. He said, for the longest time, people believed it was impossible to break the 4-minute mile. So he's talking about sports, of course. Then in 1954, a guy named Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. But what he found, Tony Hsieh found super interesting, is that in less a year after that, several more people broke the 4-minute mile. And he says it wasn't that nutrition was better that year, it was that people believed it was possible. And I think that's a great description of what we're experiencing within the Neonate platform, the sustainable fashion movements in all its forms, with all the players that are active in that. Many people and companies think it possible that we can do things in other ways, better maybe, and work on strategies to move forward into a more holistically sustainable marketplace. That's why I wanted to share that quote with you. And which brings us to, of course, all those new business models. Some are not so new, but some are new. They have something in common. They start with recycle, reuse, repair, okay, that's rent. And we'll talk about all of those with our next 3 panelists that are with us. And of course about the question, well, will customers in high enough numbers embrace those possibilities to use fashion better, longer, so that retailers can afford to provide those services? That'll be one of the questions I'll pose to them. And I want to know more about a lot of things that these 3 panelists are working on. I introduce them to you. We have with us Jasmin Huber. She's the founder and CEO of WeDress Collective that lets users share their well-stocked closets with each other. It's like, you know, that Chloe clutch that you just need for a night out, for example. We have with us Thekla Wilkening. She's a highly sought-after consultant supporting brands and companies who want to make strides in the areas of circular economy and resale models. She was the founder of Kleiderei.com, and I read that she has a book coming out next week. So maybe we have time to talk about that. It's called The Organic Pizza Dilemma, or Das Bio-Pizza Dilemma. And we have with us Bert Van Son. He is the CEO of Mud Jeans, fitting background, by the way, headquartered in the Netherlands. And after a busy career doing whatever, that took him around the world many, many times, in 2012 he founded the first circular denim brand. And I think I'll check out that service, because having a jeans for €10 a month sounds very interesting. Welcome to you all. The first question for all of you, could you name just briefly 2 challenges that each of you with your respective companies had to face because you are or you were founding an alternative to the status quo? Maybe we start in order of introduction with Jasmin. What were the two biggest hurdles that you had to overcome?
Well, I think first of all, it was Corona actually, because I started WeDress 2 weeks before the first lockdown was announced. So I would say that this was the biggest challenge and also the biggest gift or the greatest gift that I was given. So it taught me a lot of lessons and it made me understand that we are a business that will be a post-Corona winner and not, and that we're now in the position of learning and listening and getting better to be then ready for this post-Corona time. And the second one is, of course, being an like social enterprise is always faced with a lot of challenges coming from consumers. So especially when it comes to peer-to-peer rental, you need to deal with a lot of risks see instead of opportunities. So people see, okay, what happens when the garment is damaged? Is it complicated? Is it can this be fun? So a lot of skepticism, I would say, that is around.
Okay, Thekla, what about you?
Yeah, I think so. My experience goes back to 2012, so almost 10 years ago, but I think it hasn't changed up to now. And the biggest problem we struggled with is price politics. That fast fashion is just so cheap that it's really difficult for consumers to understand that for rental, it will be more expensive than buying something new that is like, as expensive as a coffee to go. And I would say this is like number one, number two, and number three struggle, and everything else comes afterwards. It's really the biggest problem is that we have. I mean, we do have it in every sustainable topic, that sustainable is so much more expensive because everything else is so cheap.
Mm-hmm. Bert, what about you and your experience so far with mud jeans?
Yeah, many challenges. We started the same year as Thekla in 2012. And we launched Leasing jeans in 2013 because we wanted to make jeans in a proper way, with people paying them a proper salary and not using toxic materials, but also wanted to be responsible for the product and to get it back after use. And the challenges were multiple, but one of them is, of course, financing it all. You have to start and you're leasing out jeans. That means the money comes in over time, but I have to pay my supplier in time. And if you pay the people well and you do everything right in the whole chain, it means the price of your jeans is much higher at the entrance. So we cannot sell much more expensive. We're 119 euro. We think that's a reasonable price, but that means that the margin is smaller. So we have less money for marketing, but we want to reach out. We want to reach you as a customer. We were lucky that we had a lot of PR attention. A lot of people talked about it because of this rental thing, and it was at the time of Airbnb and Uber coming up, the sharing economy. So that was okay. So we were a bit lucky, but it's a struggle. Start from scratch with a new brand in jeans. Nobody's waiting for a new jeans brand. Everything has been invented. Everything's been said, and we have a difficult story. We want to do everything right. We are a B Corp, a benefit corporation, of which we are very proud, but we have so much to tell, and the audience is only listening 30 seconds. So what do you tell? That we have slave-free jeans, or that we have toxic-free jeans, or that we rent them out and that we want to have them back, that we recycle them? It's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just out of curiosity, in the research for our panel, I mean, and I'm no tax expert, but I found that I don't know if it's the same in Germany and in the Netherlands, but there's a difference between like selling stuff and renting or leasing stuff, because one you write off because it's sold and is in the property of the consumer, and the other stays on the books. Is that true?
Officially, that is true. If I may answer, sorry, Thekla, I saw you were, but we are cheating a little bit. You pay in 12 times. And then you become the owner of the jeans. The idea is for us more a PR story where we say, we want the consumer to think about owning something or using the product. But you're right, officially you're right, but unofficially we do this way and we get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Thekla, you wanted to add to that maybe?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. In Germany, that is the case, and that is what makes it very unattractive for brands to really go into rental.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something that has to be done in the political and financial framework to make rental a real attractive business model for big brands.
Yeah.
Bert, coming back to you for a second, you once said in an interview that to start a company like Mud Jeans, the founder has to be a little crazy. On the other hand, one could probably say, and from your perspective, obviously the current system is kind of crazy when only 1% of all garments sold are in some shape or form recycled, right? So who's crazy? You? The system? Both?
No, you're right. The fashion industry, I've been working in the fashion industry now for 40 years. And I've seen it grow from something beautiful where you make clothing to protect yourself and to look good, which is normal, right? We all want to look good. But I've seen it grow into this monster of fast fashion where we all went crazy. We had this marketing push saying, if you wear this t-shirt for the second week now, you look totally crazy. You're an idiot. So that I think is the problem today, that clothing has lost its value. It has lost its quality. It's lost its reasonably thinking. And we have to get back to that also. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you prefer to buy one pair of beautiful, high quality jeans instead of 3 times something rubbish that you can throw away after 1 or 2 times wearing? And that's the crazy thing, I think.
I have 2 more questions for the man in our midst, and then it's all about the two ladies. Just briefly, how many customers are currently leasing a pair of jeans by Mud?
About 3,000. We do it, actually, our business exists of 2 parts. The biggest parts are our own online store, which is 50% of the turnover, and the other 50% is with 300 retailers in 30 countries. Germany is very important for us. And we only did the leasing so far online, and half of our online business is the leasing part. But we are launching now our post-corona solution where we help retailers also be able to leasing, because we had a lot of retailers saying, you know, it's nice. People get into my store, they do the fitting, and then they say, oh, it's so nice, I can lease it online at Mud Jeans, and then they went away, which is not sustainable also. So we said, okay, we have to find a solution. We worked it out. We have the IT connection out. It's all working. We do with 3 shops now testing the leasing in store. And we are going to launch this big this year, September, because we think that retailers have had a very difficult year. They're overstocked. They have no finance left. So we propose them a fit kit where they can sell all our products with a small selection of products. You know, we have 20 sizes because of the length and everything. So we now offer the retailers another solution where they, with less stock, can sell all our products. And it's a long story. I won't go too deep into it now, but I promise you it's a better solution, because we don't want to put all the stock into the store and then in the end of the season they have to sell it and give discounts and everything. There will be no jeans, Mud Jeans on discounts. We only sell to retailers, so buy a little bit, and if you sell it, we can deliver the next day what you've sold. So it's a new system.
You tried the same approach with sweaters, right?
Yeah.
Very briefly, because I have to know, I couldn't find that out. Why isn't that possible? Why can't we have the same model as you offer with jeans with sweaters?
Because jeans is a very nice material. If you shred yarn of jeans, there's so many jeans coming back. If you shred this, what we do in Italy, in Spain, you can easily make a yarn out of it again. Of course, we still have to add 60% organic cotton, but we use 40% post-consumer waste. This is very important, post-consumer waste. And we are going to use 100% post-consumer waste at this year, but now we have 40%. And the jeans have a good look, even with recycled yarn. Okay. If you make a sweater or a t-shirt, it's more difficult. It's a more finer yarn, and it's more difficult to make the material. Jeans is an excellent material for recycling, I would say.
Okay, now you two had to do a lot of listening now, please. Lots of talking. Jasmin Huber, the WeDress collective is currently available in a few select cities. I think the next one could be Hamburg. Any Frankfurt plans, as we are in Frankfurt right now? What's the expansion deadline looking like from your perspective?
Oh, well, so for 2021 and 2022, I think for at least for the first quarter, we're gonna expand to Germany, which means, as you've mentioned before, Hamburg, Cologne, and Düsseldorf, as well as Frankfurt. And we then will see where the demand comes from. So it's super nice that we are actually getting a lot of feedback and a lot of requests from people from Stuttgart and other cities in Germany. But I think you need to understand that if there is no people sharing their wardrobes, WeDress will not work in that specific city. So this is always the feedback that I give back then. So please come up with people that want to share their wardrobes, and then we can go further from that. And of course, besides Germany, other European cities will be very important for us. So we're actually thinking on expanding to the south of Europe, and also, of course, to one of the, I would say, from a fashion perspective, most attractive cities, which is Rome.
Okay, and you're based in Vienna. I forgot to.
Yeah, we're based in Vienna. That's true.
And why was it, in founding the WeDress Collective, why was it so important for you to democratize access to those high quality items? I mean, I could hear critics in my ear who say, well, that's what well-off women do. They rent each other their Birkin bags, right? But it's not about that. It's not an elite hobby. It's more than that. Why was this democratization of couture even important for you?
Yeah, I think we need to start with the fact that high quality fashion is usually very expensive. So this is something that has been mentioned before also by Bert. So therefore, quality fashion is still a privilege, and it's not accessible for everyone. And with WeDress, we want to actually create a business model that allows more people to have access to quality fashion. So for the ones that already appreciate it but cannot or don't want to pay the retail price, you know, or the ones that would like to discover the world of craftsmanship, for example. So quality for us goes beyond the basic purpose of fashion. So like garments that are not only an object that cover your naked body, but that make you feel empowered, beautiful, strong, feminine, you name it. So fashion can be everything. And it's not just about, as I said, covering your naked body. And the fact is that the average consumer, so let's be honest, has been untaught and uneducated by the fast fashion industry and by the media during the past years on what quality actually is and how we can differentiate different levels of quality. So I think there's a lot of educational work that needs to be done and people that need to listen and actually educate themselves. And third, I think that fast fashion items have, in most cases, of course, not been designed to last. So at least not in the condition you bought them. So this means that we focus on high quality because we want to make sure that garments circulate as long as possible. And we want to be a channel where we educate and empower our community to bring back the appreciation, actually, that's also something that was said before, and the value to the wonderful piece of garment that that we are wearing. And with that, we truly believe that together as this collective that we are actually building up, we can change the way we dress. And maybe you can now actually understand why WeDress Collective is called WeDress Collective. So I think that's my answer to this question.
Yeah, getting the point there. Thekla, Wilkening, all those new models of purchasing or temporarily having garments, the and something added, I described in the beginning, they take more effort, right? For the consumer, I have to become a micro retailer of my own fashion toolbox. And you are supporting studies at the Fraunhofer Institute, for example. So you might know, might have some insights into, are consumers ready to embrace all the stuff that we've already heard today, that you were talking about, that we will hear later? Will it work, or is it just we create a lot, and they might not come.
Yeah, good, really good question, because in fact, we are working on a project and a research project with Fraunhofer, and we already figured out that the biggest problem is that people do not know about their opportunities. And it is because fashion is, like, for us in our bubble, it's such an important topic. But for so many people, it is just a side effect in their life. They might like to go shopping, but they do not are interested in fashion and resale models. I mean, you can say that getting rid of the stuff they don't want to wear anymore, for them, they take it to the next iCloud container somewhere in their neighborhood. Nobody really cares about other solutions. So we have to find a way, and it's like Bert said, the difficulty is that the marketing budgets are not so high as like a big sports campaign or someone has. And so actually we all have to work together to get the people to be informed and educated, because yes, that's the biggest obstacle. And I don't know, it's like, the case that if you don't know the problem, then you're not looking for a solution. And so, it's both sides. It's that many people do not know how problematic fashion business is. And so why should they think about doing something differently? And that's basically where we have to go. It's both sides, showing solutions, but also educating about the problems. Mm-hmm. So no, at the moment, I would say the market is not really ready due to those cases.
Mm-hmm. And asking you further, do we need more incentives? For example, when you buy something, you get the estimated resale value, so you keep it near and dear in your wardrobe, or other money-saving benefits. Is that possible and needed from your perspective?
Yeah, totally. I think we need so many more incentives. Like you also mentioned our book, so we are also going away from giving the consumer all the responsibilities to get informed. I think it has to go over incentives for politics, for business models. We also had on Tuesday, we had a workshop about our perfect fashion world, and we will publish a white paper, and we said what we really need is to check out how long livable products are. I mean, Jasmin is building a whole business model on the quality of products, but she wouldn't really know which product really has the high quality or not. What's the indicator for this? So we should actually have institutes that check how long living is a product, how high is the quality. And the longer it is, yes, it would be great if you would save taxes for really long, livable and high quality products as a brand, because you're making less garbage, because you're not wasting resources. This would be great. It would be great for the consumers to know, like if you buy a bottle of water, that you pay 25 cents extra and something in percentage for the clothing, and you get it back if you go to some place where it can be recycled. So it would be so cool to think about all of those concepts and to, like you said, check out where could be incentives for businesses, for consumers, for everybody, just to make it so easy to understand, because educating yourself as a consumer cannot be your responsibility. It's nice if you have time, but it's not the concept. It's not the game changer.
Next question for all of you, and we'll start with Bert. I read in a recent study that people taking part in all these leasing and not just fashion in general, new models of not owning, just using things, at least according to that study, they don't treat them so well. It's like the rental car saying, "Don't be gentle, it's a rental." From your perspective, I mean, you have run or are still running or have just started running businesses in that realm. Bert, how do they treat the mud jeans? Do they poke holes in them? No? Okay.
They treat them super well.
Okay.
Only the people from Amsterdam, they're biking too much. So we get them back after 1 year and they're totally in the crotch gone. So we will come this year with a solution with the biker jeans. We will use hemp to make it stronger. No, but after 1 year, the jeans come back or not, because people are also allowed to keep them longer, they've paid them. But we mostly see that it's very different. We have everything. Some people send them back and you go really like, oh, what's this? And some jeans come back, they're really nice, well treated, and we put them in our vintage collection. We wash them, we repair them. That's of course the best way of recycling. So we have a whole vintage collection here in our little store in shop in Laren. But most of the jeans then go into the shredder and we use the raw material, which is basically the idea that Amsterdam or the world becomes a cotton supplier for us instead of cotton fields in India.
So no complaints at your end. Jasmin, what about you?
Well, I just got a feedback today that made me really happy exactly on this topic. A member said that she picked up the item that she rented, and because she had this personal experience with the lender, she even got the feeling that she would take more care of the garment while wearing it. So I think this is exactly what we can experience, that putting that people-centered approach on the table, you can actually benefit from it. So having this personal experience with the person, knowing the person, having a private conversation can actually make you more carefully when it comes to the garment. So this is really cool. And I can only tell that from the rentals that we had so far, and it was quite a bit, no damages or anything. And we only get good feedback, and that's really, really cool.
Okay. Thekla, you had totally different experiences, or would you agree with your fellow speakers?
Yeah, no, it was what everybody told us when we were 25 founding our business, and even the people like who came for TV shows or for interviews, they were like, yeah, I think it's quite cute, but I guess everybody will bring back things that are really dirty and shitty and stuff. And we were like, okay, wow, this is like really, in German you say feindselig. And it wasn't the experience. The people were so cute. Like sometimes they even washed everything and wrote down what they washed and what they didn't wash because they wouldn't have to. It was adorable. It was great. It was, people are really good.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think it's also because we are touching the early adopters of this. Of course, we are growing now. We get to the second stage of the market. But in the beginning, you have adopters. It's people that really want this to happen. They want to change the world, and they're most of them are lovely people. We also get reactions. We have this little leaflet in our book, in our jeans, that says gentleman's agreement. Please promise to send the jeans back after use. And people are really filling this in and sending it back to our office and signing it and putting their email addresses. Most of them are really lovely people, and they really want to change the world. So it's not yet mass market, and maybe then this will change. But today our experience is fantastic.
Thekla, I wanted to quickly ask you, as you're consulting businesses who want to go in the road that all three of you have gone along. I mean, even if I rent my clothes, there is some sort of nasty stuff involved, right? We have to talk about logistics. We have to talk about packaging. We have to talk maybe about logistic providers and their not so high salaries, et cetera, right? So nothing that all of you could fix, but still something that the especially sustainably conscious people might add to the bill, so to speak. That end of the bargain doesn't seem to look so great as the initial process. What has to change there? I mean, I know that, for example, WeDress Collective, you use bike couriers, and of course, Kleiderei now has two freestanding stores and is not using online. But still, what has to change to make the whole thing round, so to speak?
Yeah. I think we should have laws that make sure that everybody is paid fairly, and fairly means that everybody has a salary, which gives you the possibility to be safe for this month and also for the next 1, 2, 3 months. And this is something we need globally, and we cannot discuss anymore. It's like the common ground for every movement. It's the common ground for a sustainable world. And saying anything else than having social justice and fair payments for everybody all over the world, yes, like you said, everything else will always just be on top of the line, and we will always have like this big part of the iceberg, which is not fair. If it's logistics, and there's so many things you can think about. I mean, in America, there's articles about Rent Runway with the whole cleaning service not being fair and people being pushed like crazy, like the same thing as in textile factories where they have to sew is how quickly they might have to wash. I mean, I don't know if it's true. I haven't been there, but it's what you read in the magazines. So you can always find parts where people are being abused or being treated like slaves or being not paid fairly all over the world. And this has to end. And in my opinion, it should be illegal to deal with textiles or any business models that are not proving that they are paying fairly. And that's the only way. It's for every part of the supply chain, for everything. And if we don't implement this, we will never have a really sustainable world.
Yeah, I think all we are in agreement here. Bert, what about you? How do you try to decrease your footprint as a business when you're sending out jeans? What I just talked about, right? There's stuff you can control. There's stuff that's kind of like out of your control. You can't deliver them by hand to every customer who wants one. How do you figure that out? What choices do you make to be as good in quotes as possible on that end when the jeans, for example, leave the factory and get sent out to customers?
Yeah. First of all, we try to make our circle close to home. So we recycle the jeans and make the denim in Spain. And then the denim material goes to Tunisia, which is in our business a really short circle. And then it's one day by ship to Marseille and by train to our central logistics base in Utrecht. So that's number one. We try to make it as local as possible. And secondly, we also deliver by bike service in Holland. Then I have to learn from Jasmin how to do that in Germany. I would love to talk to you about that. And of course, we do emit CO2 as a company. We compromise it, so we are CO2 positive because for every return jeans we work together with Just Dig It. We try to make this kind of solutions, but of course, number one is to try to sell less. So we sell high quality jeans. We have the repair service, so try to make it as long as possible living. We sell our vintage collection. But the whole world has to start selling less clothing. That's the target for us. So that's one of our slogans, but that's of course difficult as a small company when you want to grow and reach a certain level that you have economical right to exist. So we have to get to a certain volume also. So that's a difficult one. But we hope that when people buy one pair of mud jeans, that 10 other rubbish pairs of jeans will not be bought. So, but yeah, more than that I cannot do.
Jasmin, let me ask you, we talked to the world of physical retail today already about niche boutique offerings, physically, online. How can all the things we just talked about, all the things you're working towards, maybe be implemented into the traditional world of retail? We talked in an earlier panel about do we need some sort of areas where you bring your mud jeans, bring them back, or do we have to kind of guerrilla marketing style conquer areas in the traditional retail to broader the customer base for all the things that you work for and all the other businesses in the neonate community work for?
Can I answer this?
I asked Jasmin first, but we'll get to you, Bert.
I love this question. Thank you very much for it. Well, first of all, I think generally we need to speak or to reset our minds and strategies and speak about the growth in fashion generally and understand how we can actually redefine success and growth beside increasing, sales with overproduction of certain textiles. And alternatives like pre-loved, rental, and other models, they actually really complement each other. And in my opinion, they will never exist independently or solely because they benefit each other as a whole. And I believe that in the future, all of these models will have their space. And there will be people who enjoy renting over thrifting and vice versa. But in the end, I think we need a convenient solution of all these alternative business models for all the market needs. And I truly believe that the rental can also reach this hype that, for example, we have seen with vintage or pre-loved fashion, however you want to call it. So the question is, what can we all do together to elevate rental to this same level in less time? Because we don't have the time. So we don't have 30 years to make rental popular. So I totally agree that I think we need more space for guerrilla. But what we need is we need more money. We need more money for these kind of business models. So looking back at my last year and this whole financing struggles that we had, we need more investors that are open to actually support businesses with impact. And we really, as WeDress Collective, try to look at every step of like societal and environmental or economic impact that we have. So we try to avoid CO2 emissions in logistics. We try to be city-based because we don't want transport routes to be, that long and produce packaging and so on and so forth. So we try to look at all of this. But what we get back from most of the investors is skepticism. So what we need is trust. And I think this is really, really, really important. And I'm done. Just one last sentence. I think in addition, it's important that business models don't get distracted from the original goal that they had. We all know that it's harder to unlearn a habit. So my warm invitation is when we create a sustainable business model, like the one that Thekla created, like the one that Bert is doing, and all the other great entrepreneurs out there. Let's consider all the possible social and environmental impacts from the beginning in order to avoid any possible rebound effects. And I think it's important that let's think sustainability so the consumer doesn't have to. Mm-hmm. So I think this is important.
That's a good slogan, actually. You should trademark that. Now it's difficult to decide. Bert, will you remember what you wanted to say, and I can let Thekla speak before? Yeah, okay. Thekla, you have like the bird's eye view, your consulting brands. Can we enter traditional retail spaces, and do we have to get the message out, like you said, to reach audiences that are have other things to do than basically think about the most sustainable way to shop fashion? Do we need that? Are our retail spaces open to be conquered?
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I see only a few cool retail people thinking about different business models. In my experience as a consultant for sustainable business models, working with retailers is one of the biggest challenges. They are so occupied with their daily business, with their working huddles, with their 6 days a week working. It's even more difficult to get them to move than to have consumers move. So that's just, sorry, but that's the truth.
Okay,
and,
well, fair enough. We're here to speak the truth.
I wish, I don't know, I wish sometimes that there would be a solution to have it, make it easier for them in some way, like to say, you don't always have to be always available. I think it's also the 24/7 always available thing, having online shopping on Instagram. It really makes it stop at some place with real development.
Bert, can you provide any hope from your end?
I think it's very simple. We need help from the government to create a level playing field. So if you take electric cars in Holland, the Dutch government did a lot to promote that, and the whole of Holland is driving around with electric cars. If you make the polluter pay, and the cheater and the slave driver, then something will happen. The consumer has to look at his wallet and doesn't want to spend too much money. That's human. So you have to help them make the right decision, but also create a level playing field. If I take back old jeans and I use them to make new denim, it's more expensive than if I would use only virgin cotton. But we want to use, of course, post-consumer waste. So we are going against the stream, and we do not get any support. If I do a rental system, I have to wait for my money for a year, but I have to pay the taxes now. We are too early for the system. So the government has to hurry up and implement laws that will help circular economy to thrive. And I do think that European Union is working on that with the Green Deal, and something is happening, but it doesn't go fast enough. We're here for 10 years already, and nothing.
Yeah.
I spoke the first time 10 years ago with the Dutch Department Ministry of Economics, and they were laughing at me, and they said, "This guy is totally nuts." And today nothing has changed. 10 years later.
Maybe the right to repair that's partly adopted by France is a step in the right direction?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, yeah. France is doing something. Yeah. They have some good laws now coming up.
Jasmin Huber, I'm just curious, what are bestsellers at the WeDress collective? Is it more clothes? Is it more accessories? And what about men? Any members?
Shoes.
So we just had a booking from a man actually renting a female blazer, which is really cool because this is actually where we want to go. So not seeing a garment just as a female or a male one, but actually see that it's not binary. So this is what, when it comes to men, and yes, we will have men in the future, but men are a little bit more critical and more, it's more difficult to convince them to rent. So this is what we understood.
Very diplomatically put.
Sorry?
Very diplomatically put, but go ahead.
Yeah, very, yeah, let's put it like that. But we will try to get the men from the women, you know, so because...
And bestsellers, clothes or accessories?
Clothes, dresses.
Oh, okay. And Thekla, as you probably bombarded with new solutions, startups that try innovative stuff, what was in the realm that we're talking about, in the area we're talking about, what was the last, I don't know, idea, blueprint project that really made you say, yoo-hoo, or that really excited you, whether it's already existing or just an idea? What made you say, wow, recently?
Yeah, I would like to answer the question a little differently, because when we started Kleiderei, we had a little shop in Hamburg, St. Pauli, and then in Schanze. And as you just mentioned, we went online, and now we have stores, or Lena has stores in Cologne and Freiburg. And I have to say, I understood that I think this is exactly the right way. So we were right in 2012 and 13. We went online to do it for all of Germany and sending it out. And we really tried to have an online community. We really tried to send them personal packages, really nice emails, and get in contact. But I really think sustainable revolution should be local. You need community, you need people to talk about, you need to meet people who give you tips and to get it going, to have a place to go back, to have a place to get in contact with. If you're in textiles now, with food or with mobility or something, it is all about community and local community. It's what we need for the future, what we all need if that earth is getting hot, if we have to move, if we have more people coming to Europe, we will all have to get back to community, and it's about real people and real places. And so it's something that's 10 years old, but I just recently, and with all the research for the book, understood sustainability moves with local and real communities.
Mm-hmm. Bert, I want to put you on the spot for the last 1.5 minutes. I think 100% circularity in your area of expertise in denim, possible, not possible? If possible, how many years?
Not possible.
That's a bummer.
There will always be people that want to own things. You know, we are all humans. We have all our own things we love, but it has to grow. You know, we don't need 100% renting. That's not necessary. Also, we are now exploding. We are making so many clothes today. It's growing every year, and it's totally senseless and useless. So if we could go to half already, or to half the consumption of clothing, that would be already fantastic news. So I would be happy if people today consume only half of their clothing, and that they would partly rent out clothing, exchange clothing. But there's also this second-hand market coming up, which is really good. We have good apps now with Vinted. So there are alternatives. It's not only one thing. There's a lot of solutions.
Right. And maybe as the last word, anecdotally, during lockdown, I think many of us have learned that you could reduce your fashion like up to here. That's already 50% saved, right?
I'm
Because
wearing
no one's
jogging.
seeing what you have, what you're wearing underneath. Thank you, all three of you, very, very much for, I think, an enlightening talk. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your expertise. And good luck with all you do. And we'll be right back with the next very exciting panel. So don't go away.